Hey everybody, it's Matty here with Altcoin Buzz. Hope you're having a phenomenal day. And look, we're not going to go through the hassle of doing a market update every day. You guys can pull up the numbers for yourselves. I'm sure you're already on coinmarketcap.com or some of the other websites, so you know what's going on. It's going a little bit sideways today market-wise. We're perhaps a little bit down from yesterday. Just wanted to give you guys my perspective on things, and it's actually shared by some other people in the field. The CEO of Pantera Capital specifically. But the way I look at it is that an ETF, and I've talked about this before, an ETF for Bitcoin does not make or break the technology. It doesn't necessarily devalue any aspect of the project or the rest of the cryptocurrency market for that matter. And yet we're seeing this sell-off. We're seeing this FUD. I always thought that we were over this point. I thought like the people that were in the market at this stage were the real like grizzled veterans. I thought we'd shaken off all those loose hands, those weak hands rather, but apparently not. The way I look at it, there's so much more positive news. So yes, we rejected that one, not even rejected, we delayed the decision on that one ETF. So we've pushed that back until September 30th now. But people have already forgotten the good news that's been overshadowed by a result of that really ho-hum story. And I'm not talking about Coinbase. I'm not talking about some other things. I'm talking about the real major institutional news, the headlines that have been made, not the least of which is this from already a week ago. It's not that it's about Starbucks. It's not that it's about Microsoft. We've talked about this story, but ICE, the Intercontinental Exchange, that's the parent company of the New York Stock Exchange, is basically making big moves with this BACT initiative. BACT aims to more tightly integrate Bitcoin into the economy. I feel like we've already forgotten about this story, and so I just wanted to take a brief moment to go over it again today, because for some people it's already exited their consciousness completely as far as the new information in the news cycle has just taken over. So the beverage retailer, talking about Starbucks here, is teaming up with one of the world's biggest operators, Intercontinental Exchange, which just created a venture called BACT, designed to more tightly integrate digital currencies into global commerce. Quote, BACT is designed to serve as a scalable on-ramp for institutional, merchant, and consumer participation in digital assets by promoting greater efficiency, security, and utility, said Kelly Loeffler, the chief executive officer of BACT, who was until recently head of communications at ICE. Quote, we are collaborating to build an open platform that helps unlock the transformative potential of digital assets across global markets and commerce. Guys, that's coming from the chief executive officer of BACT, which is the new pet project of the Intercontinental Exchange, which is the parent company of the New York Stock Exchange. I mean, this news has already been forgotten by most people in the crypto community, and it's just massive. So what if the ETF was, again, not even denied, postponed? So what? Even if it gets rejected, which I don't think ultimately it will, and there are a bunch of ETFs to consider, by the way. We're not only just talking about one. But even if the worst case scenario does come to pass, what does that change? There was no talk of an ETF when Bitcoin was at $20,000 nearly in December of 2017. So what does it change? There's so much other positive news that we could be discussing. And Dan Moorhead of Pantera Capital agrees with me. So this is an interesting piece from CNBC. Investors are overreacting to Bitcoin news, crypto hedge fund manager says. The SEC has delayed a decision on approval on a Bitcoin exchange-traded fund, but hedge fund CEO Dan Moorhead says investors shouldn't panic over the news. Moorhead recommended investors feel optimistic about BACT, the Intercontinental Exchange's new cryptocurrency project, with partners Microsoft and Starbucks. And guys, even if it weren't partnering with Microsoft and Starbucks, I mean, this is the kind of thing that could really change and shake things up in a positive way as far as the crypto sector. Quote, I still think it will be quite a long time until an ETF is approved. The last asset class to be approved for ETF certification was copper, and copper's been around for 10,000 years. I don't think it'll take that long, but that's a quote by the Pantera Capital CEO, Dan Moorhead, on Wednesday on CNBC's Fast Money. The main thing to remember is that Bitcoin is very early stage venture, but has real-time price feed, and that's a unique thing. People get excited about the price and overreact to it. So whole thing, don't forget, is that Dan Moorhead said that the crypto market one day is going to be worth potentially $40 trillion. So that's a couple of orders of magnitude. It's about 80 times where we sit today. So the ETF rejection is the same story we've had for 5 years, Moorhead said. The SEC has been very cautious with an ETF. Now, an ETF would be positive news, no question about it. But even if we don't get it, I mean, fundamentally, what does it really change? So if guys like Dan Moorhead can be bullish, and I understand that it's a biased opinion. Of course, he wants his venture capital firm to succeed, or rather his hedge fund. But nevertheless, I tend to adopt his outlook when it comes to stuff like that. I think there's much more positive news in this space than there is negative. And for whatever reason, the positive news doesn't really move things along, and the negative news seems to have a big impact. I would like to hear your thoughts on the issue, guys. Do you share my perspective, or do you feel that the ETF delay is actually a big deal? Be sure to sound off with your opinions in the comments below. We'd love to hear what you think. In other news, taking a look at this article by Chris, Bittrex to add Fiat pairings for 2 new coins. On August 20th, Bittrex will add a USD pairing for ETC, Ethereum Classic, and XRP. This adds to their fiat listings of Bitcoin, Ethereum, Tether, and True USD. So on August 20th, Bittrex will add USD pairings for Ethereum Classic and Ripple. In the past few months, Bittrex has also added Bitcoin, Ethereum, Tether, and True USD for corporate customers in Washington, California, New York, and Montana. As time goes on, they expect to allow retail investors to join in on the USD pairings. Quote, "We're going to continue implementing these phases until all qualified customers are included, and we're making good progress. For example, at launch, we started with only corporate customers, and only 2 weeks later, we're beginning to methodically add batches of retail customers. During these initial phases, we're inviting participants who reside in Washington State, California, New York, and Montana, as well as qualified international regions. Don't worry, as we roll out future phases, more states will be added. So please continue to be patient as we roll out these phases over time. Also, if you're reading this and you aren't a Bittrex customer yet, you should sign up now to have the opportunity to be included in USD trading in the future." So that's a statement by way of Bittrex. I'm not sure if you guys use Bittrex. Actually, I don't myself, to be perfectly transparent with you all, but that's a good thing. It's the same attitude that I take when it comes to Coinbase. We've been discussing Coinbase's initiatives rather plural lately, and to the extent that they're able to offer more convenient services and features, that's only a good thing. It's only going to get more people on board in the long run. You can read about that announcement here on Twitter, Bittrex's Twitter, so that's at Bittrex Exchange. Get ready, we're adding more US dollar markets on Bittrex Exchange. On August 20th, we're launching USD fiat markets for Ethereum Classic and XRP. Excellent. Very good. You can read about that. Let us know what your thoughts are on Bittrex in the comments below. And this is the article that I said we were going to get to today because we ran out of time yesterday. As such, another article has been bumped, so we're going to have to take a look at Lisia's article about Ukraine tomorrow. But let's stick with the Philippines for now, which are building the Crypto Valley of Asia, according to Luke. So the Cagayan Economic Zone Authority, the CEZA, or CEZA, ZA, as I would call it, has plans to build a cryptocurrency and fintech hub named Crypto Valley of Asia, CVA. The hub is going to be situated in the northern part of the Philippines and is expected to generate more than 10,000 jobs. Excellent. A huge boost to the economy of the Philippines and furthermore, the crypto development and adoption in Southeast Asia. So when I think of cryptocurrency in Asia, I guess I think for the most part, South Korea. In terms of raw activity, I probably think of China, but at a per capita level, I think of South Korea. Japan also comes to mind. I really can't say I think of the Philippines, but then this is the kind of thing that maybe will change opinions for people like me and others. So the Cagayan Economic Zone Authority is a government-owned and controlled corporation tasked to manage and supervise the development of the Cagayan Special Economic Zone and Freeport of the Philippines. The CSEZFP is the first economic zone in the Philippines to offer hosting of financial technology companies in the emerging fintech industry. The CEZA will build the Crypto Valley in partnership with private property developer Northern Star Gaming and Resorts Incorporated and aims to build a similar hub to the one situated in the canton of Zug, Switzerland. So one of the chairmen of the project, skipping ahead, Enrique Gonzalez, commented, "The CVA will consist of a 25-shop housing development inside the cyberpark developed in compliance with the strict security requirements for licensed overseas virtual exchanges located in CEZA. It will include co-working and living spaces, business incubation, and acceleration hubs, as well as back offices of OVEs and service providers to the global crypto space." So, I mean, look, this is great news. If the Philippines can develop a name for themselves, we think about these crypto niches, these hubs of the world rather, like Malta, like Bermuda, like South Korea that I mentioned previously. I think this is something good. And if it's going to encourage people to use more and more cryptocurrency, it's going to attract more and more investors. I'm a very free market competition kind of guy. I'm also a competitive person, but competition is only a good thing. So the more of these zones that you have sprouting up all over the world, I see that as nothing but a positive. So if you have an opinion on this, or maybe you're Filipino, you're from the region, let us know. If I'm certainly not an expert on the Cagayan economic zone. If you are, or you have more information on that, you have an opinion one way or the other, do be sure to let us know your thoughts in the comments below, because I think this is a really interesting development, and I hope all goes well and it's a prosperous move for that part of the world. Just a quick update here, guys, but we have news from our friends over at Salt. Salt Lending extends blockchain-backed loans reach by 60% to include 20 more US jurisdictions. Upgrade includes major portal enhancements and functionality, including Salt's proof of access program. So big expansion to the tune of 60%. If you want to read more about that here, check out prnewswire.com. Salt Lending extends blockchain-backed loans reach by 60% to include 20 more US jurisdictions. You can read about what those all are below, but that's a pretty significant expansion for Salt and is good news for that project as it continues to grow. So with that, guys, we're wrapping up the news for today. That's about all we have. Do be sure you're following Altcoin Buzz and Altcoin Buzz News on Twitter to be alerted to the latest developments in the crypto space. Hey, if you like this video, leave us a thumbs up. Make sure you're not only subscribed, but you got to click the bell as well to get notifications about our new videos. We put out new videos every day. As always, guys, leave your comments below, unless you're talking about Gary Charles, whatever. You're going to be mocked if you do that, so don't even dare. But aside from that, if you choose to invest, I wish you happy investing. If you choose not to invest, that's fine too. We're going to see you guys soon in a new video. Take care. Have a great day, great evening. We'll see you again soon.